before doing the experiment. So the knowledge discovery process is now quite stable. Everyone agrees on the different steps you have to follow to find interesting information and then interesting knowledge. So the first step is preparing the data. You have to integrate different sources of data, merge different databases, and then clean them. So why do you need this preparation phase? So the merging is quite easy to understand. You have information coming from different sources. For instance, you are a large brand and you have different stores and you want to integrate every information coming from every store, then you have to merge them. So the merge is quite easy to understand. But then you have to clean this information because data might be incomplete. People forgot to enter some data, or the data was not known at the time of the entry. So what do you do with incomplete data? Do you choose to remove those data from the study? Do you choose to use them by replacing the missing information by a random information, by a mean information, by an entry saying information unknown? This is a decision that the data miner has to do. And depending on how you manage this incomplete data, the result that you will obtain might be different. So it's really an important stage that should be done by someone who knows the data. Then can be noise in the data that you have to deal with because of sensor problems or because of typing or entry problems. So you also have to make decision. What do you do with those incoherent data? Do you use them or do you change the values so you can use them? So this has to be taken into account. And then there are problems coming from the merge. If you are merging two different databases, the same information might be entered differently. For instance, the rating from 1 to 3 in one database, you have to align with the rating from ABC in the other database. So this information of how those two grading systems match has to be considered and used to modify the data. If you have lousy or not reliable data, the information you got will be garbage. So this is the sentence, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't take a close look of what you are inputting in a system, what are the data you are using, then of course the result will be not really useful. So the preparation stage are as stated here. First you have to clean, integrate, make sure that it's aligned, transform the data to normalize and aggregate. Normalization is of major importance when you are using data mining algorithm using distance. So for instance, if you have values in years or values in distance, you will have someone who is 23 and the distance from his house to the nearest city will be in meters, then it can be 5,000, and you can see that then the value are not the same and they are not in the same range. So in order for them not to overcome one of the other, you have to normalize every aspect of the data. You may want to reduce your database, especially if you are dealing with very large database and if you have to verify that with a merge operation, you didn't duplicate specimens. So make sure that no information is stored twice, and maybe reduce volume so that the result of the algorithm are obtained quicker. And then, depending on the method you use, you might be forced to transform some data stored as letters or name into categories represented by digits. So when you have missing data, here are the possibilities you have to choose from to deal with those missing data. You can ignore the entry. You can fill what's missing manually by reaching for the specimen or measuring it again to have the right info. Or you have to make automated methods to fill the missing data, stating that you don't know, or replacing the missing data by a mean value, for instance, or the most probable value. But this is a decision which will impact the results you will have. The same decision you will face when dealing with noise. Once you identify the noise or the outlets specimens, you have to deal with them, trying to understand why it's so different. Maybe it's a problem of how the data was collected. You are using in one database the metric system, and in another database you are using the imperial system, and then that's why you are finding some noise in the system because it's were not aligned. So these different steps may be done multiple times. And only once you're sure that everything is okay, you can go to the visualization step. So visualization step is really, really important because even though the algorithms are good and they are getting better by the day, the human mind is really the most powerful computer existing, the most powerful algorithm existing. And so having an expert that will look into the data, look into the charts, might be a very good way to finding new information. So it's really important to represent visually the different information you have by showing graphs, heat maps, scatter plots, I don't know, represent the value and show them to experts. They will find new outlets, they will find problems in the data, and they will also be able to detect things that might be interesting and help you use the right methods to go to the next steps. So here are the kind of representation method that you can use to visualize. I will recommend to you the 2D representation because it's always easier for the human eyes and the human brain to understand 2D representation because you are looking at them on a 2D screen or a 2D piece of paper, and avoid 3D representation because it's not so easy to understand them when you look at them on a 2D support.